Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves some tracks from an actor named Edward Crowther. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves the tracks on Spotify. We're going to be listening to 3 songs today. Off of the Spotify we've got Mystery, Snake Groove, and Who the Hell You Think You Are. So without further ado, we're going to listen through these tracks from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Starting with Mystery, let's go. Sensational start with the leads there. And a really satisfying transition to this new part. Really compelling use of the first 30 seconds of a 3-minute song. Oh! I mean, like, we just got a nice display again with that really stunning falsetto vibrato going on there. We can clearly sing, but it's also the phrasing of the lead guitar is the focus at the start, the various sections in regards to the songwriting and composition, which illustrate that we do have that fundamental understanding of music theory and composition. It's just a really good start. Really tight mix. And it's just like the variety with the drum fills as well. We understand how to write compelling vocal melodies, and we have a great sort of we're confident with transferring between sections and translating that, but it's also just not sleeping on the other sort of rhythmic percussive elements either. Hell yeah, man. What a belt. That was Control as well, because we can clearly shred. We just had that phenomenal vocal section. Then we have a really short and sweet solo part. That's clever. I mean, that's an incredible first impression. Like, if we're honest, I just think it's so wonderful for us to not only be presented with someone who's capable of writing just a really compelling track within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, but it's also just a variety of different verse sections, the chorus, how the chorus then sort of like evolves as we go along to realizing at the end she sunk her teeth in. And then basically we were realizing we got led into the den in the woods and stuff like that. You know, the mystery allured us and kind of like got us into a difficult place. I think that storytelling there, that journey was fantastic. And we never let it get too dark. It was definitely rock and roll, really well phrased solo section, and lots of personality within the entirety of it, gradually building as we went along, so it's really good. We got Snake Groove now, track number 2. Very different mood immediately. Oh, that's incredible sound design there. Feels like little snow, bits of snow in my left ear. Very bright. It's a really gritty tone, but considering how confident we are with our post-production, I assume that's deliberate. Giving me the Appetite for Destruction kind of vibe, though, to be fair. Switching range is nice. I mean, like, it sounds commercial grade. I'll go back a little bit for that solo section we're about to have because we're just so on point with the way we stage these tracks. But it just sounds like something that's just been released through like a major label in this genre. I'm not super familiar with what Edward Crowther is all about, but I would be surprised if they didn't have people keeping an eye on him at the moment. I mean that genuinely, by the way, because this is just really solid material. It'll be interesting to see what they can do if they're given like the real estate of like an EP or an album or something like that, you know? That was almost melancholic with the phrasing there. Yeah, no, it's solid. Smart. So we're very comfortable going up to that range as like a build for a solo. Interesting arpeggio phrasing. Yeah, no. Well done. Nice use of Foley as well with the snake stuff. Look, I cannot say it enough. I think it's really important for us to consider Foley as a legitimate addition to tracks we're making. It's totally okay to add extra sounds in that you can't make yourself. It adds to the charm of a track like Snake Groove to have the rattlesnake. I think this track was more about getting seduced by a woman's curve or personality, the way she looks at you, etc., and basically becoming sort of submissive to that, if that makes sense. That's the kind of groove that I'm sure a lot of people will be able to relate to finding someone else quite attractive and then getting into that state. There's an audience for the stuff, in addition to mystery. I think that there are interesting stories that are being told by someone who can clearly sing. The guitar playing is sensational and on point. It's well phrased, and it's not just a shred fest, it's tasteful as well. The bass playing and drums, as well as the studio production, as per the intro to this track, we had the really interesting use of the left and right stereo fields of the various textures there to kind of really gather interest in a longer form factor track, which really kind of qualifies under the 4 minutes if we excerpt the really fascinating intro. We're just not sleeping on it, and I appreciate that we're really putting this much effort in. But then we've got Who the Hell You Think You Are, track number 3. It's like we're trying not to... We were really eager not to resolve to that root note there. We're kind of dancing on top of it. I kind of like that tease there.
Tell me who to be, out of chance, who the hell you think you are? Chip on your shoulder, you're better than me, so just you think twice. Only thing that you become is a rebel with no cause. Look in the mirror to realize the person that you really are. Always try to turn me down when I make my sound. Always try to turn me down. Am I way too loud?
I'm not sure if it was necessarily helpful to the chorus to have had that amount of shred at that point. I'm not sure. I think it sounded cool, don't get me wrong. I like the vocal idea for concept for the hook separate to the shred guitar. I think the solo phrasing was great without it. I'm just not necessarily sure if it helped the listening experience to have both at the same time that early.
Think you are.
Oh no, this is the hook. Cool.
Try to tell me what to do. Who the hell you think you are?
I think we're double tracking the vocals here, which is powerful.
I ain't dealing with your shit. No. Think you're better than me.
Really
Watch
solid
out.
transition back into the verse.
You lose. I'll spit you out, chew you up, and leave you left for dead. Your mind's forgotten as yourself, hanging from your noose. Your reality is your distortion trapped inside your head. Always try to turn me down when I make my sounds. Always try to turn me down. Am I way too loud? Who the hell you think you are?
I mean, you could have potentially had the shred as a call and response to the vocals in this bit. Who the hell you think you are? And then you go. You could add call and response to this part. And I think that would have been dope, especially at the second or third hook. You can get away with a bit of development there. And there was variation in the lead soloing. And as a fellow guitarist, I completely get it. It sounds dope. I understand what we're doing there technique wise, and I think that it is genuinely impressive. I just don't know if it was helpful to the listening experience. It's better at the second time though. I think that if you maybe had a simpler lead phrasing in the first bridge section and then like build up for the second, that would have been dope. But still, it's still cool.
Try to tell me what to do. Who the
I do like
hell
how
you think you
relatively
are?
simple this is because of that though, this hook section.
I ain't dealing with your shit. Take it. Who the hell you think you are?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that solo section had less impact because we heard so much like kind of wild shred in the first two bridge sections. Again, not a criticism. It's just explaining my personal experience with this track.
Try to tell me what to do. Who the hell you think you are? I ain't dealing with your shit. No.
I thought it was cool with the wow 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 at the end. I think this track was more sort of adversarial, talking about who the hell you think you are. It's kind of like trying to stick it to the person that you're talking to, breaking that fourth wall, or just writing a song about someone you're not particularly fond of. Kind of reminds me a lot of the kind of stuff from AC/DC. I'm assuming that AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, and stuff like that are influences, like in the hard rock genre. I can hear, especially with the hook part and who the hell you think you are. That could totally be an AC/DC song. I'm not trying to say that they're trying to be AC/DC. Don't get me wrong. It's just more that I can hear some of the potential stylistic influences here, and that's not a bad thing. I know there's more nuance to it. I think I got distracted by the shiny guitar parts, but I did enjoy the story that I heard. I enjoyed the personality. I think the vocal performance was a solid on point, and the raw tone of the vocals in the hook section for the specific song was kind of more kind of like, just seemed a little bit more kind of authentic. So it's just like, they were just like talking to you. Do you know what I mean? But we're going to talk about that more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of these tracks from an act named Edward Crowther. Snake Groove, Mystery, and Who the Hell You Think You Are in no particular order. These are the three tracks that Edward has on Spotify at the moment. I've had the opportunity to listen through all three of them, and I've spoken about what each of them are in the individual sort of conclusions for each track, so I'm not going to do that here. But basically, I think the stories that we did discuss were compelling. Actually, I should, because sometimes people skip to the conclusion. So Mystery was about like a woman that was very mysterious, and you got too close, then they sunk their teeth in, they're like a vampire or something, and you shouldn't have gotten too close. Snake Groove was about being sort of enchanted by a woman and their moves and the way they had like rattlesnake foley and stuff like that, which was kind of dope, and I just think that was really well written. Who the Hell You Think You Are was more kind of the meat and potatoes kind of well, not necessarily, because there's some wild to the guitar part. It was more about discussing, you need to kind of check yourself. Who the hell do you think you are? You need to be careful. Don't step. Basically that's the kind of impression I got from the stories that were being told. The vocals from Edward Crowther were great. I really enjoyed what was going on in Mystery and in Snake Groove, and I think Who the Hell You Think You Are was an earlier track from him, so I think he's had the last 2 years to develop his vocal techniques to the point where there are some really stunning falsetto sections in that head voice on the most recent 2 tracks, Snake Groove and Mystery, from this year. I'm really enamored with the way that we approached our vocal melodies. I think that we clearly have an understanding of how to differentiate between hooks and verses there, with like the crowd chants and kind of backing harmonies, and like the hooks just making it a bit bigger sounding. It was more like a storytelling, straight to the listener kind of experience for the other tracks there. I think that was great too. I liked the general way we sort of approached communicating as well. We emoted and expressed ourselves appropriately for what we were singing about. And it was very, very rewarding because of that. I think that the singing was one of the strengths here. We showed our personality in full, and it was, again, very authentic. And I don't think there was really a note out of place, especially in the most recent ones. We sung well in Who the Hell You Think You Are. Don't get me wrong. It's just I think we were more confident and comfortable in the most recent two. And we really kind of explored some really fun shapes and patterns, and they kicked off. They worked really well. No worries whatsoever. I think that outside of the vocals and the story that was being told there, I think that each of the 3 tracks was well written or well structured, made the most of the real estate they did, especially with Snake Groove with that really phenomenal intro there with the unusual phrasing of the verse melodies, one then the other, with the incredible texture changes there that just was almost magical there. We had our verses and our choruses and some bridge parts as well, with some stunning solo sections. We did have some more sort of instrumental parts without the vocals to kind of iterate upon. And we just, again, we had the instrumental, intro for Snake Groove. So we clearly understand the value of not giving the listener absolutely everything at once. Mystery had several parts to it before it got into the crux of the first verse part in a 3-minute 17 song, which is almost unheard of, as a lot of musicians nowadays are paranoid to not get to the main point of the song within the first 20 seconds or so. So I like the fact that we kind of didn't just give it to the listener all at once. We kind of made them work for it a little bit. With that in mind, I think that the vast majority of the tracks, again, I love the combination of the guitar parts, the bass parts, the drums, etc. If there was anything, it's just because I think we had some other instruments as well in certain sections, like sub bits. It's more like I think that I spoke about Who the Hell You Think You Are, how we needed to maybe have a little bit less intensity to lead phrasings in the bridge parts. But we were incredibly articulate with our lead soloing here. The phrasing was sensational. We are clearly very competent on the instrument. That's clearly our main instrument. We showed that we could really shred here, but in a way that for the vast majority of the time was very tasteful. It was it was an actual replacement for lead voice as opposed to a shred fest. And don't get me wrong, again, I love fast guitar and wild stuff. I like my Ingvar Malmsteen and I like my Steve Vai and all that kind of stuff. It's also good, especially when you've got, in this particular type of music, there's room for both at the least, and we had that here. It was, especially in the 2023 tracks, we knew when to kind of pull away and when to add, and I liked the balance that we had there in regards to the varying intensities with lead parts. The rhythm parts with the guitars and such, we had a great sort of sense of groove to them, nice sort of strumming mixing with sort of eighths and sixteenths and stuff like that, working between power chords and some interesting arpeggiated parts with the chord strums, and we really, we knew our direction we were headed in. We had a great sense of unison with the drums and bass as well, which we'll talk about in a moment, and ultimately there were just seamless transitions between bits, and I've got no complaints about the way the 6 strings were shredded or played. It's just, the bass guitar was fantastic. It was nice and balanced in the low end. It supported the guitar parts really well. And although I didn't really explore the fretboard that much as far as I'm aware, it still provided that really fundamental purpose of just supporting the groove with the drum patterns and highlighting the harmonies that we had in each track. And I think that was really appropriate. And it was there, you felt it. And that's all you really need in certain situations, and those are the ones we had here. Tremendous. We had lots of range between the various hi-hat and ride grooves there, lots of interesting sort of snare and kick, 8th and 16th note patterns there, with some interesting triplets maybe on the fills between the toms there. We knew when to switch cymbals for which situation. We had dynamic range to the performance as well, so things were in the same loudness all the time. We knew when to not have the drums at all, such as again with the aforementioned intro with the snake groove. We knew to balance out the compositions and kind of add to a point where there was a dedicated lead, was having the subs kind of keep pushing it forward. And I don't think we could have done anything differently in here in a way that would have been beneficial to it. I don't think that we could have shortened these tracks to make them more acceptable to listen to. There's enough variety with the different riffs, drum grooves, and bass chops to be able to keep us moving forward. I don't think adding more instruments would have been helpful because it was already reasonably technically complex or compositionally complex as is, enough for there to be change there and movement to keep people interested. We didn't hang on a motif for too long, and we made sure to, again, express ourselves with the vocals, with the other elements in a way where it was gonna keep us hooked. And ultimately, the compositions, the way things were arranged and written, songwriting was very satisfying to listen to, and I'm happy with it. The motifs for the tracks, again, it remind me a lot of that classic rock, like the Guns N' Roses. You know, you got like the Gibson, you got the JCM 800 liter. You know the style of music, the rock and rolls type of music they're going for. But they nail it here. They're clearly an aficionado for that style. They're a fan of that, but they add their own spin and their own style to it, their own sort of persona, and it's not cheesy. It is their own sort of stories that they're trying to tell within that form factor. It will be interesting to see where Edward goes with the various future releases, because they've got something special going here. But these tracks either made me with like Snake Groove, a sense of danger with the way that the chords presented themselves with their rattlesnake kind of follies and such, and the vocals. The combination of that made me feel a bit uneasy, like I need to be sort of like kind of aware of what could potentially happen. Mystery was more kind of played on like the twist at the end there and kind of foreshadowed it a little bit without giving too much away. So as a listener, it was satisfying while still being surprising. And finally, Who the Hell You Think You Are was more da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It was like straightforward riffage there, just kind of bombastic and kind of in your face and blunt, and you meant to sort of nod your head along to it and appreciate it. And it was fight music, but not in the way where it was overly vicious. The power chords definitely helped, but I mean, finally, the studio recording, mixing and mastering, for the most part, I'm happy with it. I think that in general, the leveling was really good. The vocals had a nice sense of presence throughout 3 tracks there. I think in the earlier track, Who the Hell You Think You Are, it wasn't necessarily balanced as well in post-production as the more recent tracks, but that can be just an experience thing. Or it could just simply be that we preferred a different sound between the tracks. But I think that with a great presence to the vocals, the guitars having a really nice, interesting tone to them with a bit of fuzziness there that's characteristic there, but with the power coming from the bass and the drums, nice sort of filtering and EQing there. I think that there were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field there, and things were also explored in the stereo field with the placement with them, such as for the final time, the intro to Snake Groove with one then the other. Like there was stuff going on all over the place with a dynamic range that's respectable and that you can appreciate. And finally, it was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression limiting were handled. I mean, basically, this is my review of these tracks from Edward Crowther, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show us some love via the various social medias and Spotify page. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever thought of crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.